the revelations of devout and learned, who rose before us and as prophets burned, are all but stories which awoke from sleep. They told their comrades and to sleep returned. Indeed, the idols I have loved so long have done my credit in man's eye much wrong, have drowned my honor in a shallow cup, and sold my reputation for a song. Boom! Bust! He is the madcap of the ages. Take heed, he has no access to the nukes. Was conjured up by element's last rages, so that he cannot strike, but only pukes. Keep smiling while the dead are watching you. The glass is empty and the household too. A fearful generation is to rise, and wrath is rearing in a worn disguise. Croaking crow and bellow hound, sitting on a tank, listen to their ugly sound as the old world sank. Lonesome cowboy on Destruction Road sits in bunker watching bomber load. Lonesome planet lost in time and space. One-man show of gun and poker face. Cold War, the ancient baby god of manhood and the blood of rivalry. Its cry is gruesome, and the hangman's rod has ever been its only certainty. The monkey's eyes are similar to man, but murder can he not, then what he can. He is a poet, but he cannot sing. He serves as bushmeat dangling on a string. The joy was great when sleeping late was ended, but waking up did not revive our mind. The drowsiness of politicians mended does not imply a turn of any kind. Now feeling old as any ghosts of law, a ship of fools has brought her load ashore. The frozen dead may count their score of losses, reclaiming Humpty Dumpty's kleptocratic bosses. The age-worn peasant on a dusty soil, working his donkey through the barren land. I will keep ploughing, said he, to the end of broil, while coughing and his mouth was full of sand. The new normality is turning old, inspiring teddy bears to catch a gawky cold. In summer, when the dead will rise up singing, there will be just another shot beginning. The wind, now blowing from the east, and frozen souls, like in a heavy gust, are swirling in a headless kind of feast that keeps on moving through a realm of dust. With all those years gone by that we enjoyed, and our heads have gone completely void, with all that football frolic on the path, how come we cuddling now in such a funky bath? An adequate description of mankind, a host of fearful mice that comes behind the grinning statue of a Mars dictator. The consequence, that's for later. Hello, we will return to Heaven's Gate as soon as this old stupid war is ended. But we will not return in former state, since our limping minds will not be mended. So, at the end of that, another whacking. The happiness machine seems to be out of gear. A drunkard on the stage, his speech is cracking, and Mr. Geek is roaming in the rear. Rejoice, rejoice, the world is ruled by swings in terms of blood and all those other things. The Rosencrantz of idealistic killers is grinding bones just like a host of millers. Look at your life, Lord of the Flies, and a hunchback of your wondrous expectations, a summary of your fantastic lies is on the way to coming generations. The everlasting night of winter's pitch has turned into the drought of summer's heat. The gaslight series ended in a ditch, and where the desert grows, there grows no wheat. The ministry of nonsense, as we saw, has long been in the hands of cunning politicians. Their sleepiness was standing in our awe, and now we wake up to their drowsy visions. Goodbye, goodbye, the silent spring is here. A greeting to all madmen on the thrones. The voters being downed in fakes and beer, and overhead the music of the drones. Is Entenhausen a democracy? Most certainly, because as was Sir Donald Quack Quack saying, it is at least a democracy, as long as donors keep the nifty quackies praying. Oh, get me gas, The driver's junkie shouted, I'm high and dry now, where is my elixir? Get gas, get gas. My life is wasted and is flouted. Get gas, or else I need a fixer. Boom, bang, said the director to his toy. Don't mingle with his plans of everlasting glory. The people in the end will jump for joy, and someone may be left to say, I'm sorry. The study of genetics of aggression leads deep into the human mind and brain. The bumpy road to an atomic session, and many hot dogs by the wayside, much in pain. Proud politics is now a matter of weird sisters. Along the bay they dig up bones and botch. Let's listen to their stratospheric whispers. No closing time for supernatural scotch. The planet Earth and Hotel California. Check in for pioneers. The wreckage of disruption. Check out for the commandments of Eupornia. Check in for business. The stalemate of corruption. Old white supremacy, a most hilarious crocodile, is dancing in a worn-out petticoat on global conference tables in the hipster style. It has a damsel by her withered throat. It is too late. The damage has been done. The seas are swelling and the mountains crumble. The rest of mankind will be on the run, and newborn children will go humble-dumble. Now that we are collecting tipping points together, let's do it fast, before the tide may turn. Tourists prefer a catastrophic weather, and from the lookout platform we can watch the hilltops burn. A thousand instruments of linguistic babble, all means of understanding out of sight. A strange infection grapples with the rebel and leaves our fighting men their noble right. From now on, let the silver cannon be the heart and core of our sound plutocracy. We will eliminate ourselves in second strike. If not, then with the first. It's all alike. The oily smiling of the butcher of disaster shines over graveyards where the rows of children grow. The civil mindset of indulgence and a plaster reminds one of a tacit TV show. The ballyhoo of love and death, no kidding, is kind of true, as long as you can miss your special part. Some people might prefer a noiseless winning, while others might fall back on toxic tart.
The firewalls of civilized endeavor are waltzing round the globe, across the woods. The hashtags, gosh, oh dear, and well, I never, will doubtlessly produce 1,000 gallant Robin Hoods. Let's stumble all into the next catastrophe. The pause between them should not get too broad. Can't reason out, for reason would be stressing, and leave the rest to Wobber and the Lord. All hail to you, good miners in the belly of my mother. The homesick metal that you furnish forth will update and bestow our grateful brothers with loads of iron coffers way up south and north. The snow-capped mountains of the glorious age of travelling have turned into a barren, bony pack. The nagging winds have turned an ugly page, but never mind, they'll mend the broken back. Another look now at the catastrophic feast. The fire dummies stumble fighting in the mire. They are invincible, to say the least, and look more flattened than their engine's melting tire. It's Thursday morning, and the world unbinding. Space travel freaks are nailed into their rocket seat. The woods are burning down, the war keeps grinding, and gated colonies are getting to their feet. The miserable show of Western values by jokers such as you-know-who is only just perhaps another prelude before some hackers crack the last taboo. Can we not live without the stench of fossil oil? Oh no, it is the destiny of soil. From soil we come, and soil again we get, no matter where you turn and how you fret. When in the prime of wealth, a golden age, as ours, we might turn another page, we may be lifted to a high degree, while rotting in a fake commodity. The world is a stage. Here are the players, until old Iceman comes to take them down. In ancient times, some help returned from prayers. In present times, the helper is a clown. The age of innocence is now beginning, and all the criminals are kept at home. The graces of the land of Dram are winning, and skeletons of peace are on the roam. When all the birds are singing in the summer, where shall we go with our haunted hearts? The future turns into a warlike drummer when Iceman comes as clown of reeling charts. The room of history is full of deadly trouble. No reason for the individual soul. The leading guys live in a stately bubble, and on the fire sits a poisoned bowl. The puberty in men is widely spread. They throw the spear and like to wage some war. Perhaps they ought to never leave their bed, but while in bed they'll wage it all the more. How did we get there? Asked the president. Have we been sleeping very deep and fast? He must have been a clockwork resident. His awesome office ended in a blast. Now has cold history become so hot that principles are melting on the spot. The end of politics is just another blot, and all our lucky pigs are being shot. The tales of madmen are distinctly mad. The tales of widows are distinctly sad. The tales of killers are distinctly bad. The tales of hangmen are distinctly glad. Okay, the Joker said, give history a break. We've known it all the time. It is a kinky fake. The thunder rolls, the herdsmen are in rage, the innocent are lost and lose their hopeful age. The king is drunk, he said, and left in camouflage. The iron gate was high, and when he passed, he saw Mahatma piling the barrage. Aha, he thought, eternal peace is nigh. Oh, springtime now, when hummingbirds are coming back from the south to build their nests right here. No time for old age generals for summing up the potential for a war of tears. Hail, mortals, said the queen before she died. She took her secret to a pompous grave. Her ministers were taught she never lied, but while she lived, she was a popcorn rave. Let ancient empires rust in their corroded sleep. The power junkies' hollow-eyed inaptitude resembles that of their most silent sheep, a morose form of sound decrepitude. Returning home from all that warlike devastation, the bells are ringing and the men are done. The welcome speech is an insinuation of feeding 1 more thousand to the gun. When I once tried to imitate the grin of the dictator with his swollen face, his wrinkles cracked with a terrific sudden din. I lost my head and swooned
before his overwhelming grace. If our suicide was an act of liberation, there was no sovereignty in it at all. You summarize a heap of degradation, and when it's over, death will have a ball. Someday we will write pamphlets on the moon, how Mother Earth had treated us so very much unkind. One day, regrettably, she could not help but swoon. What could we do but aptly leave the useless mess behind? The maniacs of history are really weighty figures, of understanding even, as some scholars like to show. Their wisdom may be bitter, but it triggers perhaps the end game of salvation and its mo. Economy of war, cute rattlesnake, forever. Although your lamp of hunger makes us look obscene. How could you ever have been so forgotten? Well, I never. Now rush and help. Get us some gasoline. I saw Khayyam, as in a dream I lay. He ruled the numbers, never went astray. I tried to speak to him, he only smiled. As I woke up, no wiser than a child. When all the ice has melted in the sun, and North Pole starts dissolving on the run, then come the goblins from old fairy time, and mankind will get drunk with fairy wine. The life of every day is like a sea of troubles, wherein we drop our inky fountain pen. From time to time, a lighter swarm of bubbles, and with an inky wit, we scribble our span. The aristocracy of mind. And what is that? I do not know. Perhaps it is a hat. But when the hat is bigger than the mind, the outcome may be very much unkind. In April, when the lilacs bloomed, she met her dearest foe. He did not say that she was doomed. There was no other blow. Now that we found it, love, how does it function? The leaves are rustling and the stars are dim. The wizards say a very good conjunction, and our guests are waiting for the hymn. Why did he have to fall in love with her that way? Her eyes were dim, her hair was much too thin, her nose was flat, her face was not okay. Okay, said love, and left him with a grin. My mother said she didn't want a boy, so I became a girl without a toy. When later I grew up to be a male, I had my drink in daily tons of ale. How high the moon, and all that other stuff.
Romantic is the grease of our heart. There's no quitting when the game gets rough. Another life, and yet the same old start. Old age gives you a serious mental break. Be happy now, be glad and eat your cake. Beyond will be another mortal wake. If not, why, then it was a fake. From now on, said the leader of the pack, we are resolved to drive a clean machine. A few days later, though, he broke his neck. Someone had smeared the track with margarine. The aftermath of pudding and achievement are Western values coming to an end. The odd and wise supremacy bereavement. No huckleberry friend is waiting round the bend. Big cities are a heap of dust and dirt. What can you do? Just wrap your dusty shirt around your head and cross all crossings naked. A bashful Mr. Adam, freshly baked, to show the public in a formal reel the human bodies that are made of steel. Inveterate ruins of imperial show that seemed to have been wiped from all remembrance may suddenly awake and deal a blow that it is hard to find a posture of resemblance. Bury my heart in this old cemetery of cars. The metal scrap, the broken glass, the gasoline and gum. It feels like drinking coffee in those cramped old bars. In life again, with bullshit jobs and games to play the bum. The scholar asked the fairy queen her age. She looked right up and looked him in the eye. He did not see the slightest sign of rage. But when he grumbled, she just heaved a little sigh. The negative abundance of an affluent society creates a cheerful tribe of ever-growing fat. These masters of their absolute propriety can be exterminated by a single swishing bat. The self-fulfilling prophecy of progress will see us dancing in the Mass of May. The marsmen will arrange for treats of no stress, and Mother Mary will be making hay. It took some time to wrench the garden system of planet Earth into a stinking paradise. The elephant, as pioneer, its wondrous wisdom attacked us from the rear. Surprise, surprise. Let every punk and snob have his own sport utility. The individual choice must surely be extended. The power blast of sumptuous virility will honk and honk. Extinction can be mended. Dramatic oops, the stupors of a painful constipation. between the Big Bang and the flimsy walls of stars. Intergalactic flatulence and fairy tale inflation. Tattoo on culture's noodle wars. Now, Babbit, global rabbit, keep on running and keep your handicapped possessions firmly gripped. Your self-esteem will rise to something stunning when all but you might get obliquely stripped. We visited the rest of nature, caged up in a zoo. We had to pay to spy a lousy kangaroo. The ward came up and said, "Don't look too close. This is a stuffed one that we had to pose." The rich, they have a prison in their head. Behind the bars, they count their pile of gold. When they are dead, it turns out to be lead. Their bones are cracking and their case is cold. No twisting of the rules is what we said. The scriptures are just full of such device. But twisting was not altogether bad. The hungry only lost 1 grain of rice. I made my money in the betting game. So what? You eat and bet, economy is free. My grandma said I was a lousy shame. Oh, what a lousy communist it seemed. Smart banking, where morale incorporated, presents the spiritual insanity of man. The house of cards had been anticipated before the crash enlarged the gambling span. The billionaire has farted. Pay attention. His money hedging money. How sublime. The market prices follow his convention, and when he belches, they're not worth a dime. The grandiosity of some men's worthy litter could be a heritage of classy wheel and wonder. 1 billion tons of it, though, might raise feelings bitter when one day they rain down in peals of glitter. The stardust of consume is pulverizing the loggerhead himself in his high seat and feeding stool, continues cheerfully his corporate appetizing in forms of stroking his befuddled ghoul. The inner sense of brutalized civility shall drive all indigenes from their ancestral land, where autocrats of corporate utility then plant their totem poles that raise a crippled hand. The bureaucrats of greenwash devastation keep wiping species off the native screen. These captains of their pirate exploitation are zombies of the corporate greed machine. The global stomach that devours the nations
where indigenes kept a primordial household discipline, consumes their essence with a conflagration, where wasteland then is ploughed with poisoned pin. But all in vain he thought about the deep conundrum where he finally would sleep. Some shiny being whispered, "Sleep alone." And when he woke again, the light was gone. Some people die for love, while others not. The great survivors rumble on the spot. The ones who first return from death for love are melting mirth and hover close above. When all the flowers wither in the moon, man has to cope with lousy afternoon. But never mind, when he has made his mess, we might admit that man is but an ass. The devils talked about their master plan to rush the world into a heated ban. The heated planet was a great device, but as we see, it turned out to be ice. When nature finally may lose its grip on man of flesh and man of brain, I wonder who will then employ the whip to drive the herdsmen of the horde insane. When winter comes, the nights begin too soon, and in the clouds adrift a waning moon. So are the cheeks of people getting old, embracing wood while their remains are sold. The bridge from here to nowhere is not long. Most men, while crossing, will go blind. When in the middle, they can hear a gong, and afterwards are nowhere to be found. When, like a childish dream, all time has passed, and the intelligence of crime unmasked, who can the mystery of man explore? Whitewashed remains on at his mental shore. Lost faces of the past are slowly reappearing when the deduction of the dark is near. We seem to know where old men's ships are steering. When they are gone, no fly will shed a tear. I looked into the hollow of the deep, where time is swirling and where mothers weep. I saw my face beyond all recognition. Time had erased all traces of the vision. Iceman arrived. The children didn't wince. They laughed and took him for a circus prince. He waved a sword and strutted on the ice. They followed suit, and drowned were all the mice. The clone of Adam is the clown of man. Now let us clone as much as cloning can. The more we clone, the more will Adam grow. At least in what is called the cloning show. One day I sat inside a storm of nightingales. They blew their music through my weary brain. They were an orchestra of fairy tales, like that of Abel when he had this pain. No stars in sight, the cosmonaut declared. The universe is sorely overstretched. Our time discretion has been much impaired, although no egg has actually been hatched. Just sit and listen to the nothingness of all. The fancy frolic of forgotten pages, the evidence of everything has never been so small as on the dump of these forgotten ages. Reminder of the day, semantic trouble. The merry wives are singing out of tune. All sanity as far away as Hubble, and Hokey Pokey coming with a broom. Oh, Winnie Pooh, what will you say to this? Come back and howl, then tell them what a piss. When in the end the dead the living kiss, we'll hear the serpent of old Adam's hiss. Those distant poets of the age of veneration, I've always wondered what they'd say if they came back. A country of the blind, the death of nature, desertification. But fossil breweries would proudly drown them all in sack. Let's book a trip to hell and have a closer look. Perhaps we find an empty torture grill, or even might we meet some hellish cook curating macbotch on a fuzzy frill. Now let me speak, your Mother Earth. I will devour another bad guy every second hour. If, after 500,000 years, there is one left, there will be no more looting, only theft. Almighty soul of universal good, my birthday was a jot in wasted ground. And as I gazed upon the dwindling wood, my mind went hollow with a screeching sound. The moon is cracked that shone in our youth, and somewhere on the way we lost the truth. We got mixed up in stalemates of confusion. Oh, happy nut, the windfall of delusion. When hell is empty, where will I be then? I left my haven, but forgot my pen. If God has some predicament for me, I cannot even scroll my gaining fee.
My vision was a castle by the sea, too old to fall apart and guarded by a ghost. When I was gone, invisible to be, there would I live, lonesome eternal host. Have you not been a somewhat shady wretch? I asked my shadow in the blinking noon. Not quite, he said. Your life is like some sketch by someone painting with a coffee spoon. The load of years is a terrific thing. You look at them and horror makes you shrink. Just now you had been bathing in a youthful spring, and then you never find the missing link. Look homewards, brother, to your first partition. That little figure in the street is you, or any other stream of that division, the voodoo grail of value and taboo. The darkling door to all the past that blisters. Look homeward, angel, you that never wept. The hoed down imps and all the blindfold sisters. Don't take the lid off, for they never slept. I cannot say why I can't stop my constant swearing. What is the matter, Fritz? Are you so mad? I will maintain that I can't stop my witless caring. While things are hopeless, swearing makes you glad. How come that I am limping all the time? Perhaps I'm sliding on some awkward hidden slime. Or else I have one leg or two too many. I must decide if I sell one for half a penny. A flesh and dream, I saw my mother's face distorted. She twittered madly like a lark in summer heat. I don't know why she had our dad aborted. I'll try and ask her when we meet below our feet. Are you still twittering on, oh dearest mother? Then why not rise and tell us what these tweets may mean? Or if you don't, you simply shouldn't bother. We are still here to cherish our spleen. And groping through the layers of remembrance, I saw your face beneath a cast of sand. I saw it vanishing from all resemblance, as I once lost you on the Golden Strand. Still sitting there in that extinct volcano crater. The lake is calm, no sound, and fish are jumping high. The Isle of Nowhere in the distant mist, and later the telepathic vision of some mystic voodoo sky. The fits of panic in the nervous nightmare spell belong to our lifestyle luxury equipment. Perhaps they are the token of some Gothic shipment. Why would they haunt us? Can that ring a bell? Maybe my time is up. What can I do? more than to ponder on the execution's understanding. A scope of knowledge, deeper digging nights were not within my reach. A bashful landing. The passage, rights to death, could be a constant praying. Or else you silently bewail the lethal slump. A third alternative could be a merry neighing. That will I try. Maybe it saves me from mortal dump. Now aging in the horoscope of punching, the mask of errors totters round your knees. The incidence of everything is crunching, and in your brain you test the numbers of the circus of the fleas. The desperate attempt to come to terms with all the nuisance that is caused by some important worms. If wormwood was the means to leave my kind, then I would drink it, never look behind. The virgins of the East sing charming spell. The Western ones can only ring a bell. But when the chiming tolls, all men arise and stumble over hell to paradise. Help me to heaven, said the Holy Ghost. My legs are limp, but where I suffer most is when I hear the rumble of dismay of those who God turns back from clod to clay. Hold on when all the cracking ships are sinking, and angels fall like raindrops from the sky. Hold on, for old man's sun will still be blinking. Hold on and spare the life of every fly. The Antichrist once came to our town. We heard him preaching in the marketplace. He looked so tired with his drowsy face, we didn't think it worthwhile just to frown. O Lord, your ear to all our gossip stories. Our heads are full with travelling to Mars. Our dreams a volume of 10 million lorries. But for the rest, it's just a little sparse. Forgive us, Lord, because we hate each other. It is not just a matter of ideas. I hate my neighbor, and I asked my mother if that was right, but she was very much in tears. The clones of Adam are now Adam's clown, but this will not impede him striving for the crown of all creation while the Lord is gone. He has been cloning down in Babylon. Usurp, usurp, said Lordy to mankind. For God's sake, let not us two stay behind. The universe is such a lovely place. It must be looted for the master race. Old angel, do not pawn your final harp. All species are extinct, but let that rest. Another life
Another time, another warp. And Eddie? Oh, perhaps it's for the best. No final curtain, just another glimpse of all the beauty and of all the imps. The trivial show ends up in total blindness. So help me God, but now let's talk of kindness. Look back through Bughouse Wizards in a fit of anger. The compoler declares it's time for a happy die. There lies the baby in its broken manger, and preaching prince bestows a blissful pie. Cannot be called the wise old ape in heaven that mankind could deserve another chance. He would bethink himself and count from 1 to 7. If anything was left, he'd have a glance.